Keanu Reeves has long won a special place in the hearts of movie fans. He is called mysterious, kind, unusually modest for a star of his level, and over time, many stories have accumulated confirming that there is not a drop of ostentatious pretense in this image. Wherever Keanu goes, whatever role he gets involved with, stories follow him everywhere about how he outperforms competitors in hard work and shows such respect and tact in relation to colleagues and ordinary people that you are amazed. Yellow tabloids, trying to force the actor to make loud statements or unexpected scandals, fail every time. In the entertainment industry, where star fever is not uncommon, and issues of status and fees sometimes become the subject of heated debate, Keanu continues to be the guy from the next street, who is embarrassed by praise and never boasts about his merits. He is credited with a ton of stories, from quiet acts of charity to unexpected actions on the streets of a big city, and each such mention only strengthens the reputation of one of the most modest actors in Hollywood. But what exactly is the basis for such modesty, and why does everyone talk about it as if it were something incredible in the world of cinema? The answers to these questions are not as simple as they may seem. There is one famous incident that happened when Keanu was working on the sequel to the cult action movie. At the time, there was a crazy buzz around the film, and studio bosses were counting on huge box office receipts. Keanu was already considered an actor who knew how to gather an audience, and his participation in the project was treated almost as a guarantee of success. But the atmosphere on the set itself was difficult. Sometimes conflicts arose between different departments, and the producers liked to strictly control all aspects of the film's creation. As a result, when it came time to decide who would receive what share of the profits, a dispute arose over the fees of key members of the film crew, in particular, the special effects team. From a commercial point of view, their importance to the project was obvious, but the producers did not want to exceed the budget and invest beyond the norm. Then, according to rumors, Keanu insisted he would give part of his personal fee to his colleagues so that they would receive a decent payment for their work. And although neither the studio nor the actor himself confirmed this officially, many people who worked on that film recalled this act with admiration. After all, he could have remained silent or resolved the conflict in a way that did not affect his own interests, but he chose otherwise. Since then, similar stories have been encountered more than once. Supposedly, Keanu again refused part of his fee in order to invite more expensive makeup or stunt specialists, or to ensure the best conditions for everyone working on the set. Such generosity in itself would hardly be a sensation if it were not combined with modesty, which is constantly noted by those who encounter Keanu personally. People say that he does not try to flaunt these noble deeds, in every possible way avoids public conversations on the topic of charity and assistance. There are mentions on social networks when eyewitnesses describe how Keanu modestly stands in line for coffee, communicates with strangers as if they were an equal, or gives up his seat on the subway to an elderly person, not even wanting to be recognized. His status does not bother him, and sometimes it is completely erased. In a city full of famous people, he often wears ordinary clothes without an escort and travels by public transport. And if he is asked why he does this, he only shrugs his shoulders, as if there is nothing special here. This almost childish simplicity causes delight in others. People see that he is not trying to seem lower than the grass specifically for PR, but really lives by such principles. Another indicator of Keanu's modesty is his attitude to fame and money. Many actors in Hollywood use every chance to highlight their successes, appear in the press, talk about new acquisitions, and do not spare money on a luxurious life. But Keanu, having earned millions thanks to huge box office hits, chooses a rather secluded lifestyle. He does not collect expensive cars, does not buy mansions on every coast, does not arrange lavish celebrations for the slightest reason. Moreover, for a long time the public could not understand where he puts his impressive fees, because, by and large, he is rarely seen in any luxury locations. Gossip spread rumors that Keanu invests in strange projects or perhaps hides part of his income. But later, curious facts began to emerge. It turns out that he helped relatives during difficult times, supported various charitable foundations, and did so in such a way as not to attract the attention of journalists and not to create the image of a saint for himself. They say that during the filming of The Matrix, it was he who devoted a lot of time and effort to morally supporting the extras and stuntmen, who were straining themselves much more than the star himself, because they had to perform complex movements in heavy suits for many hours. Once, after a particularly grueling take, Keanu noticed that several people could barely stand on their feet due to fatigue and hunger. Lunch had been a long time ago, and the work continued without a break. Then he asked the assistants to bring food and water directly to the set, and at the same time called everyone to take a 15-minute break. And although formally he had no right to manage the filming schedule, no one dared to object. As a result, people managed to rest at least a little, and according to eyewitnesses, this break saved the director's reputation, who soon realized that he had overdone it with his demands on the team. Keanu kept silent about his initiative, and many learned about this incident only from strangers. But if all these stories can be attributed to the actor's image, then some cases look so everyday that they become real legends in the fan community. The widely circulated video of Keanu Reeves riding the subway and giving up his seat to a woman with a large bag was filmed on a regular phone by another passenger. The recording, which appeared on the internet, caused a storm of discussions. Some said that it was staged, others assured that everything was real. But when people were found who had seen the actor before in similar circumstances, doubts were dispelled indeed. He could easily ride public transport before, if it was more convenient for him, and not hire a personal driver. Moreover, when a couple of times journalists managed to catch up with him on the street, Keanu was sincerely surprised by the question, "Why don't you use your personal car?" and answered something like, "Why, if you can just take the subway?" For a man with a multi-million fortune, this sounds almost unbelievable, but for Keanu, it is a normal thing. He was born into a simple family and had a difficult path to get into the major leagues of cinema, so he has developed his own attitude towards luxury. One of the striking features of Keanu's behavior is that he prefers not to put his personal life on display. This also surprises many fans, because in Hollywood, any actor often takes advantage of the chance to shine once again, goes to loud parties, publishes photos from luxurious get-togethers, appears on the red carpet surrounded by spectacular companions. But Reeves, as a rule, behaves as inconspicuously as possible, avoids fashionable parties if there is no work need, rarely gives interviews on personal topics, and when appearing in public, keeps away from the noise and bustle. It is not to say that the press does not bother him. The paparazzi try to catch any moment, find out something scandalous, but usually leave with nothing. At best, they catch footage of Keanu walking down the street in ordinary jeans and a hat, eating a sandwich or feeding pigeons in the park. Then these photos become a subject of affection. Look how lonely and thoughtful he is. But the actor himself has no desire to break or confirm these patterns. He simply lives the way he feels comfortable. The key point that distinguishes him from his colleagues is his ability to empathize. Many actors like to talk about how they care about their audience, but quite often we hear about cases of rudeness, arrogance, ignoring fans, especially when it comes to big stars who are closed in their own world. Keanu became famous for the opposite behavior. More and more stories are appearing about how he talked for a long time with strangers, listened to them, shared his thoughts, sometimes even helped with advice or supported them in a difficult situation. There is a well-known episode at the airport when the flight was delayed and passengers had to spend several extra hours in the waiting room. Keanu was among them, and instead of secluding himself in the VIP zone, he talked to fellow travelers, told funny facts about the city they were flying to, and even turned on folk music on his phone, trying to cheer everyone up. Passengers recalled that he sorted out the luggage issue, calmly responded to requests for selfies, and when it came time to check in, he stood in the general queue without any objections. It is interesting that many in the industry openly say, Keanu is a unique example in Hollywood, and it is not only his talent, but also the modesty that makes him put the interests of the common cause above his own ambitions. When he acts in films with a not very big budget, he does not put forward exorbitant demands. His writer is simple, a minimum set of amenities, no special star, wishes like only white flowers in the dressing room or a private kitchen. He respects everyone he works with, from makeup artists and costume designers to lighting technicians and drivers, and is used to treating everyone as equals. This seems to be the norm, but for many big stars such a simple approach is rare. And people who work side by side with him say that thanks to his modesty, a special atmosphere is created on the set where everyone feels important. A stunt coordinator on a film once told a story. To film a difficult scene, Keanu had to repeat a dangerous maneuver on a motorcycle. There was a risk of injury at any moment, and the specialist insisted that the scene be filmed with a stunt double and a lot of safety equipment. But that day, the stunt double was late, and the safety equipment had not been installed by the appointed time. The studio pressed. They had to film now, because renting a set costs money. But Keanu said, "No, I will not do this without the necessary level of safety." The producers began to resent him, trying to force him to take risks, and the actor, although he understood that they could disrupt the schedule as a result, remained firm. He was not rude, did not make threats, but simply explained, "We are all human. I do not want to risk my life and someone else's for the sake of one take. It is better to spend time preparing than to regret it." In the end, the scene was postponed, and although the producers were unhappy, after a while they still admitted that Keanu did the right thing, because literally a couple of days later, when everything was set up according to the rules, the take went perfectly and no one was hurt. When journalists later tried to ask why he didn't take the risk, Keanu only answered that the safety of the team is not a matter of choice, but a basic necessity. Another quality closely related to modesty is his reluctance to comment on his personal pain and the tragedies he has gone through. Everyone knows that Keanu's life has not been cloudless. The loss of loved ones, difficulties in the family, personal dramas. But he never puts it on display, does not make a tool out of suffering to attract attention and sympathy. If someone asks him a direct question about this in an interview, Keanu usually quietly answers that every person goes through their own trials. He is not unique in this sense, and you just need to live on, keeping faith in goodness in your soul. This attitude is rare in a world where personal dramas are often used for PR. Some critics may call this closedness, but fans see it as a sign of inner strength and modesty. The man does not seek to discuss family tragedies on talk shows, although he could earn additional points for popularity on this. However, Keanu's absolute modesty does not prevent him from being a confident professional who carefully selects projects and puts 100% into them. His colleagues on the set emphasize that when it comes to rehearsals, stunts, staging fight scenes, or reading the script, he works to the point of exhaustion and does not allow himself to be lazy. He does not shout about how hard he works. He just does his job, shows up on the set even earlier than expected, and prepares himself for each take. As a result, producers, directors, and the film crew do not need to argue or adjust to the star's quirks. On the contrary, Keanu himself is ready to adjust to the needs of the team if it helps create the film. And when, after another resounding success at the box office, journalists grab him by the sleeve, trying to make him describe his contribution, he usually modestly answers that the film is the result of the work of the entire team, listing the names of stuntmen, coordinators, makeup artists, lighting technicians. Few top actors do this so systematically and sincerely. At film conferences, where it is customary to talk about new projects, Keanu is noticeable for avoiding loud advertising statements. Many stars like to throw out phrases like, "This will be the most shocking blockbuster of the year," or "Our film will change the audience's perception of the genre." Keanu, on the contrary, can simply say, "We did everything we could. I hope you will enjoy watching it. I want to thank our entire team. Without them, none of this would have happened." It sounds modest and quiet, but when the film hits the screens, the public sees that he has worked his part to the fullest. And this contrasts with those who loudly praise their brainchild and in the end produce an average product. Silent persistence is more important to him than ostentatious self-praise. It is not surprising that there are many stories about personal meetings with Keanu Reeves on social networks. People tell how they accidentally bumped into him on the street, in a bookstore, or in a modest cafe, and he entered into a conversation for a few minutes without showing a shadow of irritation. Some fans even admitted that they were afraid to approach, embarrassed by his popularity, but he himself, noticing their shyness, could wink and say something like, "Hi, how are you? If you want a photo, let's take it," and without a shadow of arrogance. And sometimes he himself began to ask where the person is from, how long he has loved cinema, what music he listens to. All this destroys the stereotypes that great actors live in some kind of closed world where the average person cannot get into. Keanu, with his openness, says, "We are all of the same blood, and there is no reason to put up barriers around ourselves." All these examples lead to one conclusion: Keanu's modesty is not a passing trait or a PR strategy, but a conscious life position supported by real actions. He does not make a great philosophy out of it and does not teach others to live by his example. It's just that his upbringing, the trials he has experienced, and his personal values are such that he does not consider himself above others. For him, the common cause is more important. It is more important to help others. It is more important to maintain a sense of respect for the people who surround him on and off the court. When you watch interviews with him, you notice that he often gets embarrassed by compliments, as if he does not understand why so many good things are said about him. And it is precisely this naturalness that captivates millions of people around the world. Fans say that he gives them hope. They say that if even in the cruel world of show business, there is a place for true kindness and sincerity, then it can also manifest itself in each of us if there is a desire. Such a reputation could not but influence his career for the better. Today, producers value Keanu as a reliable performer who easily integrates into the team. Thanks to this approach, he continues to star in a variety of projects, from large-scale blockbusters to chamber dramas, and everywhere he remains true to himself, without turning into an annoying king of the stage or, on the contrary, a withdrawn hermit. Modesty does not prevent him from being magnificent on the screen. He is equally touching in dramatic episodes and reckless in fight scenes. Perhaps the secret of his acting success lies in the fact that he does not rise above his colleagues, but tries to work with them as equals. Many people wonder, where does he get such consistent, unpretentious modesty? The answer probably comes from a combination of his upbringing and personal life lessons. Keanu has had a difficult journey, facing tragedy and loss at a young age, and this may have given him a very deep understanding of the impermanence of life and the interconnectedness of people. He has said many times that he values every morning and every human interaction, because everything can end in an instant. As a result, he sees no point in wasting energy on pride or bragging. It's much more important to live your days in a way that doesn't make you regret how you treated others. It sounds almost philosophical, but in Hollywood, such views are truly rare. That is why fans from all over the world continue to admire his personality. A new film comes out, and at the same time new live stories appear online about how polite and easy to deal with Keanu, how he thanks the service staff, how patiently he listens to someone's story. The actor does not become part of big scandals, does not try to score points by making loud statements, does not flood social networks with self-promotion. He continues to work hard, give the world unforgettable images, and in his free time, do small good deeds that perhaps would never have become public knowledge if not for random witnesses. And perhaps it is this sincere modesty that has made Keanu Reeves loved not only for his screen roles, but also as a person whose character inspires and helps us believe that even in the tough film industry, there is room for simplicity and humanity. He seems to say with his whole behavior, you can be strong in your profession and still remain kind. You can reach the top without giving up basic politeness, respect, and compassion for others. This message is especially important these days because the world sometimes seems too cynical and selfish. The story of why Keanu Reeves is considered the most modest actor in Hollywood is not a collection of individual episodes, but a complete picture that emerges from his life and actions. Every time he acts contrary to the standard stardom, only confirms that it is natural for him to value people and not put himself above others. And there is something both amazing and very simple about this. We see that behind all the Hollywood tinsel, there is a man who has not succumbed to the temptations of fame, remaining true to his principles. And it is precisely because of this that his image evokes deep sympathy, not only among fans, but also among many people who are not even particular fans of cinema. If this story and collection of facts about Keanu Reeves inspired you, if you also believe that there is a place for genuine simplicity and humanity in the world, support this material with your like and subscription to the channel. Share in the comments which of Keanu's actions struck you the most, and tell us about the cases when you encountered modest, kind people who changed the surrounding reality for the better. Your stories are very important because they help many believe that even one kind action can make the world brighter. Thank you for listening to the end, and let Keanu's example inspire us all to treat each other a little more carefully and warmly.